The race to qualify for the 2017 African Cup of Nations kicks off with various teams in action this weekend. Hello and a very warm welcome to Matchpoint here on CCTV Africa, the show that brings you all things African sport from the continent and beyond. I'm Maher Mutua. Here's what's also coming up this half hour. We tell you how Zimbabwe and Kenya are renewing their rugby rivalry, and the role of sport in reconciling religious difference in the Central African Republic. Well, let's begin with the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers and bring you up to speed with the matches that have already been played this evening. Zimbabwe ran out 2-1 winners against Malawi. Uganda, who were playing at home, won 2-0 against Botswana. Zambia and Guinea-Bissau only played out a goalless draw, while Nigeria's Super Eagles won 2-0 against Chad, while Tunisia got the biggest win margin of the weekend so far, winning 8-1 against Djibouti at home. Well, the matches do continue into Sunday. Ghana host Mauritius in both teams' first Africa Cup of Nations qualifications encounter. The Black Stars were runners-up in the previous tournament, and they are favourites to win the home match. From Accra, here is Katerina Vitozzi with more.
Ghana's 2017 Africa Cup of Nations campaign will kick off here in Accra. The Black Stars are in Group H. They'll face Mauritius on Sunday, then Rwanda and Mozambique in the coming months. Sunday's game will be the first time in 2 years that the Ghanaian Black Stars have played a competitive international match here at the Accra Sports Stadium. For fans, there'll be plenty of familiar faces on the pitch, including captain Asamoah Gyan. The veteran striker says he's happy, like his team, to be playing back in the capital.
And we are happy to play in Accra, and of course we've got our family very close to the stadium as well, so it's good for the players. Obviously, yeah, we are happy to play in Accra and hopefully to put up a good performance in front of our fans.
Sunday's game will be the second time that Ghana will play at home with Avram Grant as their coach. The former Chelsea boss has faced some criticism for his extensive travel abroad to monitor players. Criticisms, he says, are unjustified.
There is a lot of Ghanaians that play abroad. There's a lot of players that play here. In the end of the day, I monitor a lot of players. I found out as you saw, I called to Bernard Mensah. The door is open for everybody, local and not local, but they need to be good and they need to be better than what we have now.
Injuries to star players Andre Ayew and Kwesi Appiah ruled them out of Sunday's clash. Despite that, Ghana are still hot favourites to win. Katerina Vitozzi, CCTV, Accra.
Well, now Egypt is hosting its first qualifier for the continental tournament on Sunday against Tanzania. The Pharaohs have failed to qualify for the last 3 editions, putting more pressure on their Spanish coach Hector Cooper.
It's a very important match, particularly for the coach Hector Cooper. It's his chance to prove that he's a good coach, capable of winning beyond friendly games. For the fans, all they want is the 3 points of the game. Winning matters a lot to this team. We haven't qualified for the AFCON 3 consecutive times, and it would be very difficult to accept a 4th failure. So it's a very important test for Cooper, despite the Tanzanians being very strong opponents.
هيبقى أول اختبار حقيقي لكوبر على الرغم من يمكن ضعف
In the already tough football environment and the preparations for the game, the national team faces more challenges with the absence of many players from Al Ahly club. It's the first time the team plays without Al Ahly. Many are injured or still recovering. Moreover, the last friendly we played to prepare for Tanzania was with Malawi, and most of the players were new young players. So the main team hasn't played together for some time now.
And now to give us more on Egypt's qualification, we can now go live to Cairo, where we're joined live by Omar Khairala, who is an editor with kingfoot.com in Egypt. Omar, I'll begin by asking you, obviously knowing that Egypt is the most successful team on the continent, its recent performances have not been impressive. What would you say are some of the contributing factors?
Well, it has to be the revolution in 2011 and the the Port Said massacre in 2012, all the political instability within the country has stopped the development of the country and certainly the development of the football team, which contributed to the last 3 AFCON qualifiers that we didn't qualify for. What happened also is the lack of consistency within the Football Association. We had 3 different coaches trying to qualify for the African Cup of Nations, in Hassan Shahata, then Bob Bradley, then lastly Shawi Gharib. They're trying to find the perfect solution within changing the coach. However, there is the stability is needed right now for the team to progress and to regain its place at the top of Africa. What we need right now is stability and mainly to support Hector Cooper within within the next match, especially tomorrow against Tanzania. This would be his first official match in charge, and he really needs to get off a good start and to get the 3 points. Also the stop and play of the league is not in our favor at all. There's a lot of stoppages to the league, and there's no Egyptian Cup. All of this are mainly the very important factors in Egypt not getting back on the top of African football.
Now, Omar, obviously you talked about the various coaching changes that Egypt has undergone in the recent years, but what would you say needs to be done to ensure that the Pharaohs return to the top ranking of African football?
I'd say mainly change the whole process from top to bottom. The Football Association is not run at a very professional level. The clubs in Egypt didn't know about whether we're going to have an Egyptian Cup this year until last week, something that's not professional at all. Also, as usual, we have only two big clubs dominating the game financial-wise and trophy-wise, and then the other teams are just feeding off the scraps, which is not helping for the development of players for the national team. Something that needs to be reorganized in order for Egypt to compete again. Also, there is no structure or developmental plan for the Egyptian youth teams whatsoever. This season they cancelled the under-21 league, which meant for some players they couldn't break into the senior team and they couldn't go play for the under-19s. They stayed for 1 year without playing any competitive match, and then they asked to qualify for the under-21 African Cup of Nations, which doesn't make sense. The structure as a whole is not very professional. It need to be redone. It needs to be done on a very professional level. But then the most important thing is consistency and stability. We had Hassan Shahata for 7 years, and there were 7 magnificent years when he won 3 African Cup of Nations. But then at the very first hurdle, when he failed to qualify for 1 African Cup of Nations, he was sacked. We needed more patience. He already had his ideas through. The players trusted him, even though many of the players were retiring and the golden generation was starting to fade away. But he was a very trustworthy character within the locker room, that once he was changed, even when they got a foreign coach in Bob Bradley, the whole system was changed. And the trust in the players were different. Different players were used, and different system was introduced for the whole team, and the whole team was baffled with it, to be honest.
All right, Omar, thank you very much for that analysis. Of course, Egypt football fans won't have long to see how well Hector Cooper's team does. They will be playing Tanzania tomorrow. That was once again Omar Khairala joining us from our studios in Egypt. He is an editor with kingfoot.com in Egypt. Let's turn now to the Women's World Cup in Canada. The Friday matches, well, Saturday, all over most of the world, where defending title holders Japan became the first team through to the knockout stage of the competition with a 2-1 win over Cameroon. The 2014 Asian Cup champions went ahead after just 6 minutes of play in Vancouver, British Columbia. They then made it 2-0 in the 17th minute with a headed goal, but Cameroon began a fight back and had several chances to score in the second half. Eventually, that pressure paid off as they pulled one back in the 90th minute, but it wasn't enough as Japan held on for the win, and they now prepare for their final Group C match against Ecuador on Tuesday, while Cameroon face Switzerland. Nigeria's Super Falcons were unable to stop a resilient Australia side who clinched a 2-0 victory also on Friday. Kia Simon scored both goals to hand the Australians their first win in Group D after they lost to the United States in their opener. Nigeria, who have featured in all 7 Women's World Cups, have exceeded expectations by coming back from 2 goals down to draw 3-3 against Sweden in their first match. But Simon beat their keeper to score the opener in the 29th minute in Winnipeg. She then doubled the scores in the second half to put away a cross in the 68th minute. Also in the second round of matches, both Cameroon and the Super Falcons of Nigeria were unable to clinch a win. To recap how teams from the continent are doing at the tournament, here is Jonas Gilbert, who has been following the tournament in Canada.
For the first time, 24 countries are vying for the Women's World Cup title. Of those 24, 8 are first-timers, and of those 8, 2 are from Africa, in Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon. Cote d'Ivoire are off to a rough start, though, to their tournament. They sit at 0-2 and are probably going to be on the outside looking in when all is settled in the group stage. As for Cameroon, they open with a very impressive 6-0 win over Ecuador, and then after their loss to Japan, they are going to have to leave it to their final group stage match against Switzerland to see if they will be moving on. The final African side here in Canada taking part is Nigeria. A lot of the players on this team did take part in the Under-20 World Cup here in Canada back in January, and that includes 20-year-old star Azizat Oshoala. She is an absolute force on the pitch. Perhaps the best comparison I can make for her, without hyperbole, is that of a young Cristiano Ronaldo. She is that good. The Nigerians, though, have been drawn into the true group of death at this event alongside Australia, Sweden, and the U.S. So they're going to have to knock off the heavily favored Americans in their final group stage match if they are going to move on. As for Team China, they began a little unevenly against Canada in their opener. They lost 1-0, but then bounced back very nicely in their second group stage match against the Netherlands. They dominated the Dutch and picked up the 3 points there. So in China's final group stage match against New Zealand, a single point could be enough to see them through, while a win will guarantee their progression to the knockout stages. All in all, what we've seen so far here in the first week of the event is the evolution of the women's game. All of the coaches have been commenting on just how well organized each side is, and there are probably 5, 6, or 7 nations that have a legitimate shot of winning this title. If the first few days have taught us anything, it's that the last 3 weeks are going to be a lot of fun, and there should probably be plenty of twists to come as well. Reporting from the Women's World Cup in Canada, Jonas Gilbert, CCTV.
Well, it's time now for a short break here on Match Point. Still ahead, we tell you how Zimbabwe and Kenya are renewing their rugby rivalry, and the role of sport in reconciling religious difference in the Central African Republic. All right, turning to rugby now, and Zimbabwe's Sables have defeated the Simbas of Kenya by 28 points to 20 in Harare. The match was the opening of the Division 1A Africa Cup tournament. Farai Mwakutuya has more.
Well, these two familiar yet fierce rivals were trading tries and points like two prize boxers. It was an evenly and tightly contested match, but perhaps Zimbabwe's extra man, the home supporters, making the difference in this game. Zimbabwe walking away 28-20 winners, and it sets them up quite nicely in this Division 1A of the Africa Cup Championship. It is a tournament that features 4 teams: Namibia, Tunisia, Kenya and Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe have been runners-up the last 2 times, and they're hoping to bring this trophy back home to Zimbabwe. And they've certainly taken a very good step in the right direction towards achieving that.
We talked about pride. I mean, defending the badge with pride, defending our lines with pride. That's what it came down to.
The level the rugby is going now in the Africa Cup, it's tough. And if you don't use your chances, if you don't take your chances, you're not gonna, at the end of the day, you're not gonna win the game.
Farai Mwakutuya, CCTV, Harare.
Zimbabwe.
Well, ahead of Saturday's encounter, both Sables and Simbas talked about the need to stay in the elite division in African rugby, as Farai Mwakutuya once again now reports.
The last time these two countries met, a place at this year's Rugby World Cup was up for grabs. Both missed out, but Kenya was bitterly disappointed after putting in so much. So I asked their coach if revenge was the motivation this time around.
For us, we have a new challenge. We have a young side, and we're busy preparing now for the next World Cup. I think Kenya had put a lot of work into last year's campaign, playing in the Vodacom Cup, and done quite a lot of things to qualify for the World Cup. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that. So for us, this is not a sprint. It's really a marathon for us, because we're preparing for the next World Cup. So whatever happened for us is a bonus. Whatever happened tomorrow is a bonus for us.
The East Africans are also out to enhance their reputation as a complete rugby unit.
Because of Kenya, everybody knows Kenya as the Seven Nations. So what we've done now for the last 2.5 years is really to get the forward play in Kenya up to standard. And I think the guys understand that now, and everybody understands their role in the game. We're up for the challenge, and we've done a lot of work up front.
They expect a physical battle against the much bigger Sables, a team that's also in transition, with a new coach and skipper installed since its last outing.
There's plenty to play for. The World Cup starts here. You don't just get to the World Cup, so you have to remain in the Group 1A, which is where we are now. And for us to be able to qualify for the World Cup, we must make sure that we remain in this group for the next 3-4 years.
Zimbabwe last won the Africa Cup in 2012. It's played second fiddle to Namibia in the last 2 years. Namibia is tipped to scoop continental honours yet again on its way to England for the Rugby World Cup. But these two fierce rivals opening up the tournament will certainly want to have a say about that. Farai Mwakutuya, CCTV, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Well, staying with rugby, Jean de Villiers is confident that he will be fit to lead the Springboks at the World Cup. The 106-cap veteran is on the mend after major knee surgery and feels there is real excitement in the Boks squad, with just over 100 days to go until the global rugby event in England, as CS du Plessis now reports.
The Springbok captain is nearing the completion of his rehab after knee surgery and showed no signs of discomfort while demonstrating the research and technology involved in developing the new Springbok jersey to be worn by the 1995 and 2007 world champions in England later this year.
It's good, getting closer and closer to being back on the field, and very excited about that. So working very hard towards that, and hopefully I'll get the opportunity to actually wear this jersey, on the field.
Another Springbok who has been plagued with injury this season is front rower Tendai the Beast Mtawarira. The Bok prop maintains he is close to full fitness and will be doing his best to be selected for coach Heineke Meyer's World Cup squad.
If I'm selected, I'll definitely make sure that I'm ready and fit to go, and that is all. That's what I've been thinking about. This whole past Super Rugby season, that I have to get myself into good form and make sure that when the announcement of the squad is made, my name is there. So that's the most important thing. Yeah.
De Villiers believes the men in green and gold, currently ranked second in the IRB standings, are on track to present a proper threat to the rest of the world at the event that kicks off in September.
There's a lot of excitement, obviously, for the World Cup. I think the focus now is still with Super Rugby, because the guys are playing every weekend, and so it should be. But in the back of your mind, you always know there's a World Cup at the end of the year. The only way you can get there is by playing good rugby, and I think that's the most important thing.
International rugby coaches will acknowledge that what you put in on the field when trying to win a World Cup is not always enough, and that in fact the technology and research that goes into your preparations is what really matters if you're to try and win that coveted William Webb Ellis trophy. The Springboks have a new jersey and it is world class as they aim to win the World Cup for a third time and become the first nation to do so. CS du Plessis, CCTV, Cape Town.
All right, let's talk volleyball now. Tunisia will be hoping for a second African volleyball title in as many years as Kenya eye an 8th continental title during this year's African Championship. 8 countries are competing: hosts Kenya, Algeria, Tunisia, Botswana, Mauritius, Senegal, Cameroon and Morocco. Kenya are pooled with Mauritius, Algeria and Botswana in Group A. The home side opened their campaign on Friday with a straight set win over Mauritius, while Senegal beat Cameroon 3-2. Algeria, who are among the pre-tournament favourites, also won their opening match against Botswana 3-1 this Saturday. Defending champions Tunisia are in Group B alongside Cameroon, Morocco and Senegal. The winner of this year's edition will represent Africa at the World Championships set for Japan in August. The Central African Republic has been making significant strides in bringing calm to the country since the violence there escalated in 2013. Hurdles do remain, but sporting activities are among the platforms being used in the reconciliation process. Here is a look at the impact being made by the country's basketball league.
These were the scenes in the Central African Republic, torn apart by 2 years of civil strife. But now the capital Bangui is returning to relative calm, and reconciliation initiatives are largely responsible. 3 times a week, Muslim and Christian basketball players across the gender divide meet at the University of Bangui to train. The players come from the Mazanga Club, one of the country's best sports clubs. Despite the recent violence that split the 2 religious groups, the understanding of the field is always cordial.
Sports has no boundaries. It is often said that sport unites people, so sport unites us. Through sport, I think we can quickly bring peace to our country.
The Central African Republic's Basketball League came to an abrupt halt in 2013. This after violence broke out in late 2012 when mainly Muslim Seleka rebels seized control of the country. Waves of reprisal attacks by the mainly Christian anti-Balaka militia followed. Now, Bangui has been coming to terms with what happened, and the heavy security presence is an ever-present reminder as the 2 sides continue to reconcile.
Whether Christian or Muslim, we are all together. We are from Central African Republic, so there's no problem.
More than anything, residents are tired of the turmoil, and initiatives like these are a way to bring about much-needed peace.
We will always continue to accept our brothers, the Muslims, in order to bring peace.
This peace through basketball initiative comes amid preparations for general elections expected in July. It is hoped the current calm will continue to ballot day. Celestine Karone, CCTV.
Well, let's take another breather here on Match Point when we return. We'll be telling you why Kenya is optimistic of a return of the World Rally Championships to Africa. Welcome back. Now, the Kenyan rally circuit is betting on an increased number of participants and growth in popularity to help woo the World Rally Championships back to Africa. And as Sadiq Shaban reports, the memory of the global event is still fresh among many motoring fans.
Tucked away safely in a garage in Nairobi, 2 of the survivor cars, Toyota Celica GT4, that competed the last time the World Rally Championships were held in Kenya in 2002, deceptively stand unmoved physically, but their sheer sight elicit an avalanche of nostalgia to the owner, Jaswinda Chana, and many rally fans in Kenya.
Believe it or not, every time I walk into town and when they hear I'm the Chana, they say, oh, you're the one with the Toyota. They still remember it. Believe it or not, they still remember. And they keep on asking me why I don't drive it again. I told them it's just that these cars are slightly outdated at the moment.
No longer in competition, these cars are not worthless nonetheless.
These are sentimental value cars to me. They remind me of the Safari Rally days, and they did tremendously well during the Safari at that time. And the legacy still lives on. I mean, every time I start it, I still get goose pimples.
But the countdown towards the future with Africa as one of the rounds of the World Rally Championships looks increasingly dusty and uncertain if the cost of hosting the event is anything to go by.
Kenya needs to
put in about $1 million to be able to run a WRC event and to be put in the calendar for the World Rally Championship. At the moment, we got sponsors, but they have not come to the position where they can be able to fund a WRC event.
Kenya rally drivers believe that the surging entry numbers of participants in the circuit and the latest state-of-the-art factory cars, including Ford Fiesta R5, Proton S2000 and the Skoda Fabia S2000, are a step towards getting back the World Rally Championships.
Our budget for a season is about $120,000, and that's not really even enough. Some of the top boys here are spending twice that, 3 times that apparently. So it is a huge investment, but you know that's the way the sport is going here, and it is a good thing because it's a flourishing sport.
The cost of running a local event is prohibitive for a lot of competitors, most of whom rely on corporate sponsorships. But until the dream becomes a reality, Kenyan drivers, just like spectators, will have to watch the World Rally Championships from a distance. Memory and legacy of the World Rally Championship still lives among the rally fraternity 13 years after the global sport was last held in Africa. And with the Kenya National Rally Championships increasingly becoming popular, the organizers are hopeful that in future Kenya will once again be part of the World Rally Championships. Sadiq Shaban, CCTV, Voi, Kenya.
Some club football now, and Democratic Republic of Congo's Renaissance FC's growing popularity may approach and even surpass already established clubs such as AS Vita and TP Mazembe. The club, which is fully financed by fans, has garnered thousands of supporters in its less than 1 year in existence.
Thousands of orange and green-clad soccer fans thronged the Tata Raphael Stadium in Kinshasa, DR Congo for the inaugural match of the new club in town, Renaissance FC. Renaissance FC was formed less than a year ago after daring club Motema Pembe split. It currently boasts a rapidly growing fan base, which is beginning to threaten support for popular DR Congo teams such as AS Vista and TP Mazembe.
This is the feeling of joy and hope. We believe in this team because I had said and predicted that we'll build a team that will be able to face any opponent.
Renaissance FC is fully financed by a group of supporters. This has been reported as a first in DR Congo's football history.
The atmosphere within the team is very good, and that's what pushed me to play in this team. I want us to be united to move forward.
Experience doesn't wait for someone to age. Sometimes, even a young person may be well experienced. This is the case with our team. It's still new, aged less than a year. Everyone aspires to change, which is why everyone supports the Renaissance and sticks with it.
Expectation is building up, and the management will be keen to steer the club to deliver results on the pitch to match the enthusiasm growing around the club. Leslie Murungu, CCTV.
Well, that's it for Match Point this week. Thanks for watching. I'm Mahe Mutwa. We'll see you again next week. We'll leave you, as always, with some images from the sporting highlights this past week.